All right, I took some notes. I did some screen caps. So let's go through the TLDR version of what's coming in Demeter for those that did not have time to sit through that whole dev blog. It was kind of sleepy, or I almost fell asleep or something. But I took notes, so I didn't sleep. Bah. Hello, Philanovians. My name is Rob, and welcome to another video. Today we are talking about the Demeter devlog that they did or posted this morning, but was recorded long ago in a time far, far away. So some of these things may change, some of these things may not once they get on the PTU and barking dog in the background. So what's the biggest thing that we are talking about here? Well, that is going to be the fact that there will be no more ore in the ground. Yep, you heard that right, and I said it months ago, but let's not get into the I told you so category here. There will be no more ore in the ground. So what does that mean? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There's no more ore in the ground, so you don't really have any reason to go digging tunnels upon tunnels upon tunnels. In the video, they did a little video fly-through of all of the veins that are under the surface of Alioth, and it looked ridiculous. So why are they doing that? Well, it's putting a huge load on the server, on the database, and everything. If you're getting those pending operations and every other problem that we're having right now with the database, that's pretty much where a heavy portion of it is, and they talked more about that. And they also talked about the new way that the voxels are going to line up. No more on a square pattern. They're going on a circle pattern. I didn't really understand most of it in terms of whatever, but now they're going to be able to line up the textures with the ground patterns, so you'll be able to see things from orbit that you would not have seen before because the patterns did not line up with the voxels or something. We're going to skip that part. So no more ore in the ground. You can still dig if you want to. So if you want to do one of your, underground bases or whatnot, you can get to digging on that. But there's really no reason to go digging down and looking for ore anymore, since it is now virtual, not virtual physical, if that makes sense. So after that startling announcement that absolutely no one saw coming, they talked about the replacement, which is going to be the mining unit. Here is a picture of the mining unit. It is very wonky looking. It looks like something aliens would manufacture, not humans, but it's a mining unit. So how do these things work? Well, you slap them on your territory and they mine the ore that is in the ground. Now, territory scanners will still be usable. The territory scanners will tell you what is in your tile and also the rate of collection, I guess, how many liters per hour you're going to be able to get out of those ores. Now, obviously, none of these figures are correct. They said they were just placeholders, so don't take them at face value. But once you find out how much ore can be extracted, you need to match up that ore type with the correct tier of mining units. The higher tier mining units, the more rare resources they're going to require and the more they're going to cost, basically, to put together. So your basic mining unit is going to be like your tier 1. Your tier 2 mining unit will be used for collecting tier 2, and so on and so forth. So they said that the tier 1 mining units will be pretty inexpensive, up to tier 5, which will be more expensive. And mining units are set to pull a base rate. Now, in this picture we have here, we can see that this mining unit has a base rate of 100 liters. In the example they gave, they said that maybe it was going to be 50 liters, but that was just an example, and the numbers obviously were not correct. So if you had a quartz node, let's say, that had 200 liters per hour and your mining unit base rate was 100 liters, you would need to put 2 mining units down to pull all 200 liters per hour. So each mining unit only pulls so much, so you might need multiple mining units to pull multiple units. And the higher tier, the less they pull. So, in order to get the maximum amount of gold per hour, like let's say you had a gold vein on your tile, you might need to put 5 or 6 mining units on your tile in order to get that maximum value. Other things we can pull from this that they talked about are charges. Each player will have a maximum amount of charges. And what are charges used for? Charges are used to calibrate, which brings up your optimal rate. Your optimal rate falls at a rate that has not been determined yet. It might be every 2 days. It goes down 10%. It might be every 3 days, but it's going to need to be updated per week. Otherwise, your optimal will fall, and that will reduce your efficiency, which will reduce the amount of ore that you're pulling from a, resource. So each mining unit can also only pull 1 resource. So you might need like 2 mining units for quartz. You might need 2 mining units for coal, depending on what you have. Like in this example, the hematite has 44 liters per hour. So you would only need 1 mining unit for that. But for the bauxite, you would need maybe 3 mining units in order to get the liters per hour at maximum. Once this is running, it will lose its optimal charge at a rate indeterminate, and as that rate goes down, you'll need to visit your mining units and use one of your charges to basically boost that optimal game back up, which opens a mini game when you click on this calibrate button. The other thing to note on this interface here we have is that you also have an adjacency percentage, which increases the yield. So they said up to 6 times if you have a number of tiles. So if we go and we look at the map, and just to see what that means, let's say that there's a lot of red here. So let's say that your base is right here, and this tile right here is your central base where all of your mining units are, and then you have 6 tiles around it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This center tile would get a 6 times 6 bonus, so I'm guessing 60% bonus increase to production. So that's what that number means on that chart right here, is that your adjacency bonus, I guess, would go up to plus 60% if you owned all 6 tiles around the tile that the mining unit is on. So the more units you own, the more tiles you own together, the more bonus you get for those tiles. So the mini game that they talked about, let's go ahead and pull that up. This is the kind of thing that they showed where they had a bunch of stuff going on. I really don't understand exactly how this works. It says to calibrate this mining unit, send the probe across the territory using the available modes to find the highest density. So how does this work? I don't know yet. We're going to have to play with it on the PTU in order to exactly figure this out. There's different types of scan modes. And then there's this line down here that basically optimal remaining power, and then signal calibration point. They did say once you finish calibrating, wherever the highest density is found, that's where surface rocks will spawn, and not the tiny little teeny surface rocks that we're used to. These surface rocks will actually have a good amount. I don't know what a good amount is going to be, but it's going to be more than we're used to. That's all I know on that. So that is the mini game. Moving on from there, they talked about the fact that you'll be able to token certain tiles. So if your purpose is just to fly around the planet and scan tiles and find the best ones, you'll be able to drop a pin on it, as we do now, the territory ownership units, and you'll be able to either token those tiles, so sell them to someone else who's maybe looking to mine, or you can rent the tiles, which will allow another person to put mining units down and benefit off of those. And you could set your rent as a straight cost. So, you know, hey, just pay me this much money per month. Or, you know, you could set up like I'll take 20% of your total or output. So that would be between you and the person who's renting the tile. So that's the two ways that tiles will change in the future. And the other thing is that they are moving from a exponential placement cost, as it is now, to a flat tax. Well, to a regular placement cost or no placement cost. They weren't exactly sure. And each territory will have a flat tax per territory per month. As to what that cost is going to be, they said it will be reasonable, but we don't know. So the more territories you own, the more tax you're going to end up paying. So it could be that each of these territories is 50,000, and you know, so you got 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, 50,000. They all just add up the more territories you have. So you'll no longer have to pay that exponential cost where you put down a territory and then the next territory is double the amount of money and the next territory is double the amount of that money and the next territory, et cetera, et cetera. So it might cost like 5,000 quanta to put down a territory and then just that flat tax rate. You'll also be getting a territory wallet, which they talked about, and looks like this. Let me pull that up. Again, values are just placeholders, but they did say that each territory will have its own wallet, so to speak, territory wallet, and you can kind of see on this that each territory has a balance. So you would need to put money into each territory so that every month that money comes out of the territory balance to pay the territory cost. So in this thing here, we have 69,693, which is not the amount of money, again, that it's going to cost to, that's days. Never mind. I fail. So you could see that when the fees are due, what your status is, and what your balance in your wallet is. And, yeah, you'll just have to make sure you pay your rent every month. Let's see. It says on here, to keep working, a 1 million fee is taken automatically from the territory's account every 7 days. You can check the status of each territory fund every 90 days. Again, these are just placeholders, so it is not going to be a 1 million fee every month. Or it might be a 1 million fee every month, but they were very ecstatic. I mean, you can see right here, values are just a placeholder. So don't take any stock in the values that are on here. Once a territory is not paid, it goes into inactive status, which means that none of your mining units or factory units or whatever else is on that territory, none of it will work until you pay the rent. If you don't pay rent for an extended period of time, they said 2 weeks, they also said maybe a month, you'll lose ownership, and then they're not sure what that's going to look like, but it may just make the tile open to complete salvage by outside parties, or it may do something else. They were very skittish when it comes to talking about that. So in addition to all these other things, we're also going to be getting some new talents The 4 new talents are Extracting Output Multiplier, Extracting Charge Cooldown, Extracting Charge Stacking, and Recalibration. Obviously, recalibration is going to be somehow dealing with the minigame, so it may make the minigame easier, it may make the minigame faster. Extracting charge cooldown is how many charges you get per period, so you may get charges faster with cooldown. Extracting output multiplier will increase the output of your extractors when you put them down, so that would be good if you're placing the extractors. And extracting charge stacking, they were not so clear about, so I'm not going to talk much about that one because it's going to do something. I think it increases the number of charges that you get. So instead of your base of 5, if you increase this skill, you might have 6 charges and then up to 10 charges per month. So we'll have to wait and see until that's out on the PTU in order to see exactly what the descriptions are on them to figure out what's going on. So the final thing they talked about was the geometry reset. So they are going to be rolling the geometry of all of the planets back to their default. So the way they were before anybody dug any holes or did any landscaping. So what does that mean for you? That means that if you have an underground base, your base is going to get filled in. If you have a base that you have done a bunch of landscaping on, for instance, our base here had a bunch of flattening done. There was a hill here. You can see over there that there was a big landscaping push into the mountain, the hill, and so forth. And we have a bunch of underground factories. So that is all going to get filled in when the reset comes. And then we're either going to have to dig it out, or they said that there was going to be a way to submit a ticket once you've checked your base on the PTU. So download the PTU, and once it comes out, go ahead and check to see what the damage is to your base. It may just be that you got to do a little bit of digging. If that's so, that's not really that hard. But if you need to submit a ticket, you can submit a ticket and put it in as excavation. There's going to be a new drop down for base excavations, and then you'll put the name of the super legate, the name of the construct, and the size of the core of the construct. And they have an automated tool that's just going to basically dig a giant square around your base so that your base is no longer covered with dirt. So that is what's going on. A few other notes. Nodes you have right now will not be the same. So if you're sitting on top of a bunch of mega nodes, you might want to go ahead and mine them. Because once they do the update and all of the underground ore disappears, they're basically using a procedural generation / modified tool to redo all of the ore on the planet, on all of the planets. So if you're sitting on a mega node, or you're sitting on a bunch of mega nodes, you might want to get a crew out there and mine everything up that you can, because that's going to not particularly be the same. However, you might find out that a tile that you claimed now has a very good liters per hour on certain materials or something. You might want to keep those. So don't necessarily give up your nodes, but if you're keeping them because they have huge amounts in them, don't think that that's going to be the same when the update happens. And in addition, the seed on the PTS is not going to be the same as the one on production, so don't rush the PTS looking for good nodes, thinking that they're going to be the same as the ones when the game is updated on the production side. So they're doing that specifically for that reason. So go on the PTS, do a bunch of testing, figure out how this stuff works, all that other stuff. I'll do some videos on it just to, have some tutorials out there once I figure out how exactly the minigame works and all that other stuff. And obviously, the new player experience is going to change quite a bit from what they said in the video. The sanctuary tiles are all going to have the exact same ore amounts in the ground. So if you have a sanctuary tile, that's really not going to do anything for you. If you're thinking that, oh man, there might be a huge deposit on my sanctuary tile, well, they're all going to be the same. Just to keep things copacetic or status quo or whatever you want to call it. You're also going to get new players are also going to get a baby mining unit. Not sure what that's going to look like. They said it's going to look cute. But that will be able to pull ore off of sanctuary tiles. As to whether regular mining units will be able to pull ore after sanctuary tiles, off of sanctuary tiles, they weren't that clear with that information. But we'll have to see how all of that goes. It is going to change the new player experience. So new players will have all of the ore that they need to get started and a baby mining unit to mine that ore. However, they can also do missions and stuff. Still, the best way is going to be to join an org and get the goodness of org stuff. I can't think of words right now. My brain is melting from all of the information that I absorbed. So if you want to join Chimera, you're welcome. As always, just go on that F2 menu, not F2. What am I doing? F3 and, search Chimera and join the org, put in an application, whatnot. We're always happy to have new members. And that's about it. I'm looking forward to the update on the PTU, but as always, let me know what your thoughts on all of this are in the chat area down there. What do you call it? The discussion area place. All right. Well, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. As always, it really does help. And I keep saying as always. As always, as always, as always, as always. I'll see you out there in space. Stay safe, my friends.